Well, Boulder, Colorado, night number one, Phish Summer Tour. They had a few days off, but they are back. Did they come back strong? Did the few days off? Did they develop a little rust? Well, let's just see here. We will start at the top. Wolfman's brother opening things up tonight. Another weak telephone ring. I mean, it was there. It was almost like you just, you declined the call after just a half a ring. Still not a lot happening. Little disappointing. It's hard to really get into the song after that. Just kind of gut punch early on in the song. So that's how things got started there. A weak ring in Wolfman's brothers, several of them actually, in fact. So Tube comes after that, and they started, I guess they wanted to loosen up tonight by jamming a little bit. They certainly didn't want to loosen up by playing the telephone ring part. Trey, I'm saying they, but really it's Trey is who we're pointing the finger at here. So then they get on, and as the songs went on, I guess I would suppose Tube probably won this trio here. It was, we've all kind of been waiting. We've really been waiting on roses of any sort. The Tube, I guess it was just sort of maybe just like a normal Tube jam, I suppose. It did have a little something sprinkled in there, though, and then Roses Are Free. Like I said, I know a lot of us have been waiting on that one. I wouldn't say that it was anything extraordinary, but it was, as they get going there, as the show goes on, a lot of times we get that in the first set. You can imagine the first set style jamming. So now they're going to loosen up on the jamming a little bit and get into show off their technical skills. May certainly want to do that. We should almost get just a page cam for most of that song. And then obviously Trey comes in. He starts slaying and doing his thing. But a lot of this, Paige McConnell bouncing around the room, and Nellie Kane back to back here, kind of mid-set, before we get back into some jamming with Kill Devil Falls and Sand. Sand making another appearance. Kill Devil Falls certainly is perhaps its first of the summer, so it is not being overplayed. And like most of the time, Kill Devil Falls does rock, and then it builds to this big peak. That's kind of what we got there. Fluffhead, if I'm not mistaken, the only song in the Phish arsenal that has the word prime in the lyrics. So, of course, it was coming at some point this run, and it was, in fact, tonight. And then there was, I don't know, there wasn't anything, maybe like the Divided Sky the other night with this big, like, whoa, kind of a jarring flub. Nothing like that in the Fluffhead. Played pretty well. The Mike could have come a little stronger with the, check this out. Just give us a check it out. Pretty plain, a little plain there. We got no wingsuit, we got no drill. Come on, Mike, you got to give us something there. I mean, he was giving us a lot in the Carini and Sally, and I'm sure the Kill Devil Falls as well. So let's just get over to here to set two, the Carini, as mentioned just a few seconds ago. In fact, I did. So the Carini, much like the first one, maybe if not your favorite song of the night, I'm sure it would be in the running, and they kept it. I didn't get a clock on this one, but it seemed like somewhere in that, maybe 14 to 18 minute range, something like that. So plenty of time to get something going, but not too much time, not a lot of wasted time in the Carini. So starting out with a jam there, getting us into You Enjoy Myself, and then once again, the You Enjoy Myself. Although you could probably see it coming here in this slot. And I'm sure they knew as well, after the vocal jam, we're going to pick back up and continue a jam. And that is, in fact, what happened. But then the whole first section, they just kind of fly through, it seems like. We get like kind of a minimal You Enjoy Myself, and then the vocal jam also held to a minimum, which is fine with me. And then we get back into a little bit of a groove, kind of held up mostly by Mike, the YEM was. Kind of like in the first set, we start out with a trio here. Finally, that YEM jam gives way to Sally. Sneaking Sally Through the Alley. And it was maybe, it just feels like, I know they've played it at Dick's several times. It just kind of feels like it was a Colorado regular. The same with What's the Use. So we had a little nod to some of the shows over the years at Dick's. Well, not same state, not the same weekend. It is a holiday weekend. All right, you can see the connection there. You can imagine. All right, so Sneaking Sally Through the Alley. A lot of this was really a lot of mic-based stuff here. And then Sally, there was almost like it felt like something where they were teasing something else of Phish, not Plasma. That was coming in light. But the same thing happened in Sally. It's almost like they were drifting off into something else. Eventually, it becomes light. They just roll. Speaking of the minimum. We got the minimum light here, and it was a little bit of a light plasma. I think at one point Mike was just full on playing plasma. If you're a plasma fan, you got a little tease there. What's the use? The crowd very cooperative. I mean, I think they had kind of lost them with that light, to be honest. So it's not that they were purposely quieting down for the what's the use. They were just already sort of there. And I guess it kind of hit the spot there. I don't know. They maybe should have tried to bring it all the way back up. They certainly didn't bring it all the way back with Pillow Jets. You know, the other one probably the other night brought up a little bit by the tweezer. Not the other night now, but just a couple of shows back. That Pillow Jets probably certainly brought up by the tweezer. Tonight, it just, they were just kind of racing through songs here. Just the other day, I was saying, maybe not all these 30 and 40-minute jams, sneak some more songs in there, but, I didn't mean just really just pushing songs through. 2001, always going to be worth it because of the light show. Even here on Couch Tour, the lights are fantastic in 2001. Really never gets old. Possum, however, does closing out a set a little bit. They knew. From, post Sally, they just couldn't really, the ball was in the air. Nobody really wanted to grab it and take the shot. So it's like when all else fails, you got Zero, you got Possum. Tonight it was Possum. Hit him with a possum. That's what happened. And then Stash, all right, trying to come big here with the Encore. I certainly will approve of a Stash Encore. Problem is, you ain't got a whole lot of time. I think the one we got a while back, a little over 17 minutes. Still one of my favorites of the summer was the Manchester Stash. So we're not going to get another duplicate of that. But it was a very welcomed encore after especially a little bit of a dud here late in the set and Possum. And then, Rocky Top. All right, I don't know what the day the bust out is on Rocky Top, but I feel like it's been a while. Sally, it had certainly been a while, or maybe not. Roses Are Free, it had been, I think. Wolfman's, I'm not real sure. I think it had been just a show or two. All right. Well, that's night number 1 in Boulder. Still got a lot of greats on. Where's Bathtub Jen still missing? Anybody? Water shortage. Nobody can even take a bath. Boom, we're out of here. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. That's a lot of red for a show that was, I guess it was just, they didn't really start to lose me till here. And it's late. I am tired. Guess that could always play into it. But really, that light was something else, huh? Then what's the use? What's the use? I feel you, Trey. What's the use? All right, gone on too long for just an okay show. Boom. Out of here.